Hey guys, welcome to another time-lapse video of a sky stone. This time around we've got Sunburn. He was unsurprisingly one of the top dragons people wanted to be drawn. I was not surprised when he was chosen pretty quick. I was surprised that he was not chosen first. If you've been following along, Drobot was chosen first and then Flashwing before him. Drobot was not super surprising. I know Drobot is one of the very popular characters from Spyro's Adventure and one of people's top dragons. But with Sunburn having been one of the Forgotten Eight, and the only one of the Forgotten Eight who has had truly nothing new, he didn't get a late repose, he didn't get an Eon's Elite. Everybody loves to jump to the defense of poor Sunburn having been forgotten. Well, he was number 3. I was surprised by that. Flashwing, I love her. Don't get me wrong, she's one of my favorite dragons. But I didn't realize she had the popularity that Sunburn here has. But here he is today. I was so excited to draw him. And at this point, I've also been drawing little chibi versions of them, basically baby versions of them, as a kind of a silly, fun extra. And so if you want to check that out, you can go to Reddit or to X, Twitter, and you'll find those little versions there. I might try to dig it up and put it here on the video. If you do, you'll see it in the top blue in that, the top right in that blue corner up there. There we go. I know words. And grammar. I do know grammar. Anyway, so after looking at the polls, because if you don't already follow what I've been doing, I put a poll up for which dragon to draw next. That's what I meant by being surprised that he came third. Drobot, slam dunk. Flashwing was a bit tighter. Let me double check. I had her poll up just a minute ago. I'll probably have to dig it, but I'm pretty sure she's the one that was just edged out, like 1% out of 40 votes. Let's see if I can find that real fast, because I'm curious. These are statistics. This is like actual data within a tiny fraction of the fan base. This is one thing. So when looking at polls and voting and all that, especially on Reddit, I find that it's misleading, because what you've got going on is a very small fraction of the fan base. 100 people is a small amount, and a lot of these polls discussions get even less attention than that. And it's a very biased fan base that is going to speak up. The people with the strongest opinions are going to speak up. And another thing to bear in mind is that a lot of people have different favorites, but as you go down the list of top 5, so if you're talking top 5 dragons, you'll find that those tend to start to look much more similar. So a dragon that is no one's top favorite could be everybody's second favorite. That's another misleading element to any poll that is just a simple choose your favorite, choose your least favorite. Having ranked polls where you list number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then comparing all of those is a heck of a lot more work, but it'll give you a much more accurate depiction of a character's popularity. But yeah, scrolling back down, there she is, Flashwing. Yeah, she barely beat out. Sunburn and Camo tied at that time. Cinder, poor Cinder. I've had a lot of people voicing that they're so sad that Cinder is losing every single poll, because she is one of the 4 dragons I started off with. I started off with, in the polls, it was definitely Sunburn, Drobot, Cinder, Flashwing. So 2 girls, 2 boys. Most of the early dragons. So yeah, I was not too surprised that Drobot came in. Cinder actually got second there, which might be part of why some people are frustrated. But then comes Flashwing, she barely edges out. And then finally Sunburn. And this was a pretty clear winner here with Sunburn. Camo had the next highest amount, and then next poll he won, Cinder coming in second again. The next poll really surprised me. So I, at this point, have already drawn Camo. Camo is fully done. I did not record his time lapse though. I just wasn't in a good place to do that. Like physically, I had to draw him at my parents' house, so I wasn't gonna try doing recording, pausing, stopping, all of that. I'm very proud of how Camo turned out. He looks great. But the next poll was Blades, and he, like every other dragon, actually hilariously has the same amount of votes. They're all 20%. But then Blades is way up there at 40%. He just smashed it. And against Cinder, against Whirlwind, and against Bash, I was shocked by Blades. I thought Blades was kind of a more forgotten dragon. I didn't realize he was that popular. You'll have to tell me your opinions on his popularity if you really like him down in the comments. The next poll is no surprise. I didn't want to specifically hold off on these two till the end of doing all of these dragons. I wasn't trying to do that, but I did know I wanted to do them back to back. So I did put in Blades replacement as Blackout and Spotlight in a single vote. And no shocker, that won. I haven't added any more polls after that because at this point I have not drawn Blades, nor have I drawn Blackout and Spotlight. I'm in no rush to finish the dragons at this point. I'm just kind of taking this next set slowly. That way I don't A, burn out, and B, I have time for other projects. Doing the core set of the Sky Stones, I focused on doing basically a drawing a day. For the core set, got those orders. Did not quite as much of a crank on the second set of Sky Stones, but definitely tried every other day within a couple, 2 to 3 weeks I had them done and ordered. This one I'm just taking a whole lot more time on. I'm officially halfway through the amount of stickers I need, so we need to draw Blades, Blackout, Spotlight, that's 3. There will be 2 more before I order the stickers, and you guys will get some previews of the actual Sky Stones. I will need to make another 10 characters to fill in the last of the dragons that won't be included within that sticker batch. It is a slightly limiting factor that I have to work around, but that just means I will have a handful of the Sky Stones for the following set after that. That, I'm actually going to be changing my original plan to jump into the Portal Master Slate, which is the bigger board, and I will be doing another set, which I think will just be the Giants. I think I'm just going to go ahead and do the other 7 Giants and complete that as a nice boost to the stone pool, and then go for the bigger board, because that'll be a bit more expensive of an order, and I will probably wait a few months before doing that. I'm gonna give it some time to breathe and take a break from it. But yeah, I've been doing a lot more custom figures. Another one that people have been excited about and recently released is the Shadowlanders. These are ones that I painted to look like their shadow versions. If you're here just for Sunburn, seeing him here, there was a Shadow Sunburn. He was one of the first ones to sell. The first one to sell was Drobot. Again, Drobot is very popular. So now that I've talked about the background and where I'm getting this information and all, I'm very curious where everybody else's favorite dragons are, what they are, where they're coming from with them, if it's based on gameplay. Gameplay is the last factor for determining if a character is a favorite for me, because I play the game so very little. I also am more inclined to any female character just because I'm a girl myself. That's actually natural. And so my favorite dragon, I actually don't know if I have a favorite dragon. Flashwing was one that immediately caught my eye because she's just such a unique dragon design. Echo is another one I really, really like. I love Echo's design. It's very busy, but it's also very water. It's hard to go wrong with the classic Spyro and Cinder designs. I definitely like Cinder over Spyro in design, but Spyro is very solid. I think it's mostly the contrast with the orange and the purple that is a little, it doesn't quite appeal to my color sense. Let's go with that. I don't dislike it. It works very well, but it's not as appealing as the darker purple with the silver. That's much more appealing. Of the original 8, though, Camo has to be my favorite design-wise. His color, he has so much color for being a green dragon with the yellows and the purple, so not the purples, the blues in his tails. The blue in his tail, and then the red on his arms, and then just all the leafy spikes. It's not a dragon that looks like a soft floral dragon. He looks like a thorny little menace, and that fits his personality, and I love it. So he's definitely my favorite design. I know a lot of people love Robot's design. He's not my favorite design-wise, though. The tech is cool, and the thought and the storytelling behind his design is excellent. For that, I really like it. But on a pure visual scale, it's not my favorite. He is kind of an ugly dragon underneath the armor, which is the point. There's a good reason for that. But again, his colors are very muted, and robots just don't appeal to me as much as other mediums. They just don't grab my attention, and that's a personal thing. I absolutely understand why a lot of people loved Robot, and a lot of guys would like him, especially anybody who enjoys Transformers and anything like that. So I don't, yeah, I'm not confused as to why he's as popular as he is. The one dragon from Spyro's Adventure that I'd say I don't love the design of is Zap. I don't love the tanks on his back, and the rest of him almost feels too simple. All the other dragons have very dynamic and detailed elements to them, like with Sunburn and Whirlwind, both of them great. I'd say they're pretty interchangeable in appeal to me. Maybe Sunburn a little bit more. His reds are very good, and his Phoenix design. Whirlwind can look a little awkward sometimes with her almost bald looking with the little horns that go down her back are a little awkward. Other than that, though, she's pretty good. But they have those spikes going down, even if it, like with Sunburn, it's just a little bit on his head. Camo's goes all the way down his back, and he's got his whole leafy thing. He's the most designed of all of them. Spyro and Cinder, pretty simple dragons. Bash really has his bulk to show and the cracks and earthiness to his scales, and he's got a double row of spikes down his back and a bit of a crest. So he's got a good bit going on, that big tail. Zap, he's almost just too smooth, which is, it works for a more salamander-like. I believe he is a freshwater dragon. I don't dislike the frog toad hands too bad, frog toad paws, but I feel like it just needs a little bit more, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Nothing other than the tanks. I don't love the tanks. Nothing else is just bad. The fins are what you want. The shape of the horns are actually excellent. I love how different they went with the shape on those. But he almost just needed a few more fins, or maybe a longer tail to really emphasize swimming. That would have been a great thing to add, because in a lot of fiction surrounding dragons, a water dragon needs a bigger, more powerful tail, because 90% of animals in the ocean heavily rely on tails in order to swim. So I guess I just wish a little bit more was done there. Flashwing, already excellent. Firecracken, we're kind of sort of counting. He's kind of in a category of his own. And then no dragons in other dragons in Swap Force. So it just comes down to Trap Team. There weren't any in Superchargers, and there weren't any in Imaginators. Actually, I will get to the NPC dragons in Imaginators. I've got an opinion on those. But we do have Blades, Blackout Spotlight, obviously, Echo, and then High Five. they're all excellently designed. I actually had someone surprised when I mentioned High Five as a dragon. Yes, he's a dragon. He is a insect-designed dragon, but a dragonfly. It's a pun, but still a dragon. He is a dragon. I don't actually love like the sport helmet on him, but everything else is awesome. Insect wings are underutilized in fantasy creatures, honestly. They can be used on more than just fairies. I'm actually surprised we haven't gotten like a butterfly winged dragon. I did that with a few broken Flash wings because Flash Wing often has broken wings, and a High Five actually. But I'm actually kind of surprised that hasn't happened. That might be a fun character for a future game to up the variety. Blackout and Spotlight, super complimentary, super unique dragon designs. Love those. They're two dragons I'm almost hesitant to ever custom because they look so good, paired with being rare. If they were like as common as a Spyro, I'd feel less bad about it, but with them being as rare and as awesome as they are, it'll be hard to paint them. Painting Robo, no problem. There's so many details that get lost in just the factory matte or factory monocolor of like his legs and stuff, so I don't mind painting him. But the dragonfly color shift effect on Blackout and Spotlight is excellent. Echo already, like, she has what Zap didn't have. Almost to the extreme, almost too much. I understand if people do think it's too much. So she and Zap as the water dragons, very opposite ends. And then Blades, he's fine. Like, he didn't ever stand out to me. The armor is very cool. Of all the dragon gear, I'd say I like that the best. And then you get the Imaginator dragons. Like, you give us 14 unique dragons, 15 if you want to count Firecracken, and then they give us Spyro copy and paste dragons for the NPCs, and they look so bad. Like, they're so obviously just copy paste, change the horns. I would love to do like a artistic redesign of them just to get a better visual for them, to recreate it, essentially, just remake. And I'm not saying like reanimate a scene or anything, but just to do a picture of what it could have been, what all these dragons could have looked like. Because dragons are the foundational species of the Skylanders. There's a dragon of each element. It started with Spyro. They're the fundamentals. So now that I've rambled past the time-lapse time, I would love it if you guys go ahead and share what your favorite dragon is, why you like your dragon. If you want to rank the dragons, go ahead. I am not going to do that because some of the dragons I also haven't gotten to know. Like, drawing Drobot made me like him more now than I did before. And I haven't spent much time playing Bash or Zap. Frankly, not even Camo. I've not played him a lot. I just really like his figure. He's a heck of a lot of fun to paint. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this fun dragon-related rant. And I will see you guys next time. Thank you.